I've got stuff to say about this photo of Juliet.
Okay.
And for that, you're going to have to come over to my side of the table.
Oh, all right.
So I was reading that this photo, it's come to light in the last little while that this photo is actually a stock photo. So share my microphone here, Mallory. And it's actually a stock photo from a man named Eric von Weber, which is also Arnold's last name.
Okay.
And
this man, he's a character in the show, or
no?
Okay.
Okay, we gotta rewind here a bit. Arnold, you know Arnold.
Yeah.
We've spoken about him. His last name is Weber.
Okay.
Now the photo of Juliet, William's fiance, that we've seen pictures of, is a stock photo from like Getty Images.
Oh.
Just a stock photo. You can pay a few dollars and use it in whatever you want. But the man who took that photo, his name is Eric von Weber. And I don't know if this guy is a real person, but I mean, there's nothing pointing that he isn't. And it seems crazy that the show would just make up a person to take stock photos and put it on a website and then later use it. So I don't know. But this is not the only photo, Mallory.
It's not the only photo?
No. So it's the only photo in the thing. But if we look at some of the other photos that he has on his portfolio, we'll go down. That's another one of his photos. So it is a silhouette of a cowboy-looking image. Some guy with a cowboy hat on standing over a... What would you call that? Why am I so bad at explaining things? Explain it to me.
I mean, it seems a little bit dark. I don't know.
Well, okay, it's just a man standing in a horizon, kind of like a cowboy out in the desert. So, and then we have another photo of a horse, a white horse, kind of like in the intro to Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same pose. These are very convenient photos, just to be on the same portfolio as the one for a stock image. No?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go and look him up too, and look at the same photos we're looking at. But there's another photo that he has. It is a man in a hazmat suit sitting at a table, very reminiscent of the suits that they wear in Westworld to go and collect them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have the last one here that I'll show you.
Whoa.
It looks to be one of Wyatt's weird animal men.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a warrior with big bull horns on his head and an axe, but very, very close to what we've seen in the show. So, Mallory, you can go sit back down and we can briefly talk about that. Was it worth getting up and coming all the way over here or not really?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's weird. Everybody's not really sure what to make of it.
So what do you make of it?
I don't make anything of it. I don't know what to think of it. Do I think it's...
Are they trying to say that William is just a robot too? That he has a Getty image of this fake woman and it's supposed to be his wife to be?
Well, I was thinking that at first, but not after this episode now. Now after this episode, I'm pretty sure he's not, but it's still a weird thing. Do you think they use this image and this is all just a coincidence? Did they plant this image months before they made the show? Is there any merit to any of these theories, or do you think it's just people making something out of nothing? Because these photos aren't necessarily Westworld related, but...
So the question is whether these photos existed before the creation of the show, or if they were planted there, knowing that fans would go looking.
Yeah, or if the person who needed a quick photo of a woman... But it doesn't seem like the style of this show. Everything has a meaning. So Jonathan Nolan isn't going to put so much detail into every little aspect, and then for one of the main characters' wives, just use an image off of a stock image website.
No.
Like that.
Especially since that image is recurring. Like we see it over and over again.
Yeah. And they've done it.
And the Von Weber, like the photographer's last name is the same as Arnold's last name?
It's just the idea that it is a coincidence it's not possible, I don't think. I think the chances are so unlikely.
What's the connection if it's not a coincidence?
I think it's just something to get people talking, and it doesn't really...
But it
it's just a
holds no
mystery.
value to the show. It's just like a little tidbit, like a little extra thing.
Well, I don't know.
Oh.
I think we're gonna have to figure out who she is eventually. I mean, they did this in Lost, where they had a photo that was very had a lot of screen time, but once they decided to make that character an actual character in the show, they had to go and remake that picture with the actual actress in it.
Okay.
But I think they would have learned their lesson from this. We have J.J. Abrams also producing this. He's got to have some. He's got to say, like, hey, remember we did this. If we're going to take a photo, let's use the actual person we want. Let's not make the same mistake again. So anyway, it's interesting. I feel like more that just came to light like maybe 2 days ago. So we gotta really figure. We gotta have some time to let that marinate, and I'm sure more information will come up. So we find out that William couldn't find her, but out there among the dead, he found himself. We see him take a black hat off of a dead body. William now places a black feather on Logan, telling him that they finally made it to the edge of the park. For some reason, Logan is now completely naked on a horse, maybe just to show that he has lost his mind if anybody catches him. I don't know what the point was exactly. Do you have any... Is this something they used to do?
I just thought it was like he was going to take his clothes and start wearing Logan's clothes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He's stripped him from everything he has. His identity,
Well, he didn't strip his identity.
Well, he's taking his, like, he's insinuating that he's taking his position in the company and everything, so.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to make him out to be a crazy person, maybe. We got to find out what happens to him, right? Like, he's not just going to ride out into the sunset like you were saying, and that was it.
Yeah, no.
He says
he's going to come back with a vengeance, I think.
Well, how much of a vengeance? Is he going to come back in the present, like 30 years later, and be an old version of Logan?
Oh, that's true.
He says he told William that this place would show him who he really was. William says that this place is remarkable and that their company is going to have to increase the holds in this place. That's when Logan yells out that Delos is his company, and William says that his father is going to need someone a little more stable to take over. So Delos, we find out, that's the company. Kind of assumed it was. That is the company that owns Westworld, but
now we know for sure. Yeah.
It's a pretty big company, pretty big stakes. Logan claims that William never even cared about Dolores, and that getting him here to the edge of the park was the story he really wanted. William slaps the back of the horse, getting Logan to get run out to the very edge. And this is where he did not blow up, which I thought he would. And you didn't think that at all, right?
No, it didn't occur to me.
Oh, wow. So we can't assume Logan is dead. We didn't see anything. Maybe the animals don't even have charges in their backs. Maybe humans don't even have... Or maybe the hosts don't even have charges. Maybe that was just misinformation put into Maeve's head from Ford. And we never see from him again this episode. So moving on. Man in Black says that Logan was wrong, and that William couldn't get her out of his head, and that he kept looking, eventually did find her, right back at the beginning of her loop, where she dropped a can of milk, but when someone else picked it up, she quickly dropped her gaze with William, leaving him heartbroken. And then that's when we see William put on the black hat for the first time, and it transitions to Man in Black telling Dolores that he should thank her for helping him find himself. So here we go. Big reveal. Man in Black is William. William is Man in Black.
What?
And you weren't that surprised. I don't think anyone watching the show after all this was not too surprised. But now we can stop calling him Man in Black. Just call him Old Will. And then eventually, if we stop seeing Jimmy Simpson, we can just call him William.
I feel like that's not who he actually is at heart, though. It's like he turned into this monster almost, trying to...
Yeah. Well, trying to do what?
Well...
He got obsessed with the game. He wanted to see how it ends, but he wants the real ending. The ending that wasn't written for him.
Yeah. Well, he got obsessed with Dolores.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, I mean, he hasn't been spending the last 30 years of his life
And then
here.
he got obsessed with the idea that, like, he caught a glimpse of Dolores coming to consciousness, and then it was wiped away, so he knows that somewhere, like, they're able to reawaken
Yeah.
And so I think this whole time he bought the company and everything, and he's been playing the game to try to see this consciousness come to life again.
Yeah. But has he been playing for 30 years, or has he just
I don't
been
know.
doing his stuff back in the real world?
Or 2 years or whatever since his wife died.
Yeah. Because it's weird. He became a different person when he was younger, as Jimmy, as young William. But then in his story, he went back and he became very wealthy. Well, he was always wealthy when he married Juliet, but he was essentially a really good person, wasn't he? His company saved people's lives.
Yeah, but his family thought he was atrocious. Like, he just hides behind these, these caricatures of himself, basically. Like the philanthropist, the good man, but really he was like rotting on the inside.
Yeah.
That's what his family thought of him.
Yeah, and I wonder why. Like, I wonder how bad could he have been in the real world that they would think that of him? Well, I'm sure that's got to be something we find out. So he can't be dead.
I hope not.
So what finally flipped his switch, though, is the fact that Dolores wasn't actually in love with him. Like we talked about. All that time he had put into her was lost, and he realized that he meant nothing to her. Someone on Reddit actually, they compared it to having lost all of your saved game data and going crazy because of it.
Game over.
Yeah, well, you've been playing all this.
Yeah.
You've made so much progress, and then your game resets, and you've lost everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I think that they went on to say that at that point you can use cheat codes to get back to where you were, but it's never really the same game, and you've gotten so accustomed to cheating that you're just not playing the game anymore, and now you're it's lost all meaning, and you kind of search for something else. So it's similar to what Man in Black is doing. William. Old Will, as I'll call him for now, says that eventually he grew tired of her, but that their paths kept leading back to each other, and then we have flashes of scenes from previous episodes of them.
So even though he's met her numerous times before, it's never been the same for them again, because she doesn't really know he's William.
Yeah. And it's like, what is it, 50 first dates. You just want to put all that time in to get her to fall in love with him again, and the older he gets,
but it's also
less...
sad to know that you're completely forgotten by the person who you've been obsessing over.
Yeah.
But
if he truly realized that this was all a game and how to play the game after he killed all these people, he says he realized how to play this game, he should know that it was a game. And maybe the best way to play is to protect Dolores and not let her get killed ever. That way all of her memories will be saved.
Yeah.
So what was he doing with her in the barn then? In the first episode? I thought there was going to be a big reveal where maybe we went back to that scene and we saw that it was not anything harmful at all, but I guess it was just some violence.
Maybe.
Everyone was so sure because I thought the Man in Black was going to be a better person than he ended up being.
So what, does he end up raping her in the barn or something?
I still don't think he raped her, but probably beat her up a good amount.
That's horrible.
But he wanted the same thing that Arnold wanted. And the same thing that Ford wanted. He just wants them to find a voice of their own. And I think they all three of them knew that the way to unlock that is through violence and through pain and suffering. So, I mean, it looks bad, but it's for a greater good.
Yeah, but when she finally gets her voice, he doesn't seem too happy about it.
No. No, not really. So Man in Black asks her now, because he's also looking for the center of the maze. He thinks there's something out there too. So he's searching for two things. He wants them to find their own voice, but he also wants something physical, some deeper game for himself. Man in Black asks Dolores one last time where the center of the maze is. She starts crying. He says, "Here come the waterworks," but then she says it's not for herself, but for him and what he's become. What the ravages of time have done to him. All the wrinkles.
And she strokes his face.
Yeah. I think it's probably more what he's become and maybe not what a wrinkly mess he's become. a little bit of that. Tells him that one day he'll be in the